This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
This is It Was a Thing on TV.
Spoiler number 1 is Dr. Lee frowns. It stinks.
What is going on? What is going on?
Episode 60, Submission 1101, Maury Show episode names.
On the next Maury, unbelievable paternity stories.
I had cheated with someone.
You didn't go all the way?
No.
You don't think that's your daughter? Hey, my baby.
Well, guys, one of our favorite guilty pleasures on TV has to be Maury, right?
Yep.
Sadly, yes.
I'm not even pretending I don't like it. I love the Maury Show.
Yeah, it's a guilty pleasure.
It's a train wreck, and it's an entertaining train wreck.
Did I tell you about what I was in the audience for?
For Maury?
No. You're setting off Chico again.
Oh.
He's gonna do the chicken tetrazzini story.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
You see, I was in the audience for the Maury Povich Show. It was like a day after my 29th birthday. It was the day of the Obama inauguration. New York City, 2009. We saw it on the big screen, but not before we learned about chicken tetrazzini. Enough said.
Wow.
That's the episode. Nice job, guys.
But one of the best parts about the Maury Show is the craziness and the train wreck that is what is coming. And especially whenever you look at the right side or the left side of the Chiron,
Yeah,
you get to see
the left side. Bottom left corner.
The bottom left corner is always a title of what the episode is. That catches your eye in case you're channel surfing. And some of these titles are so outrageous that, oh my God. Mike, can you tell the story about why this episode has come to be?
This is back in February after we had recorded some episodes, and Chico had signed off for the night. And Greg went down a rabbit hole of looking at different Maury episodes, the title specifically.
Because you had informed me about the Nosy app.
Okay. And see, I don't even remember that part. But so Greg went down a rabbit hole, and
I just started reading the titles of Maury episodes with a straight voice.
And they were outrageous and just the goofiest stuff ever. I mean, there's obviously a common theme between most of the episodes. You know, DNA tests, or you're not my father, or I'm not the dad.
Lie detector tests.
That too. I mean, for the most part, 95% of Maury shows are just that. DNA tests and lie detector tests.
And then the 5% of the occasional episodes with Jack Hanna.
With Jack Hanna and talented kids, yeah.
But mostly it's all about DNA tests.
It's all about DNA and lie detectors.
Yep. Mm-hmm. That's why we love Maury so much.
So Greg just started rattling off these episode titles, and he must have done this for a good, 20 minutes to a half an hour. And after he did this, Greg and I made the joint decision, this needs to be a topic. And Greg wanted to do it sooner rather than later. So I said, you know what? I'll stick it in the earliest position we have available on the schedule. Lo and behold, that's now.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
So I'm going to read... Actually, the week we're recording this, I'm going to read some of the episodes from this week. Okay, here we go. Starting with the episode that aired this past Monday. My dad is not your father. We'll prove it today. Tuesday. After the threesome, is my fiance secretly dating her?
Spoiler, yes, she is.
Wednesday's recent episode. Will DNA prove this man had a child with my wife?
But he's got the mailman's eyes.
Oh, Friday. Why'd you name your baby after me? I'm not the dad. All right. So that's some of the episodes from this past week of we're recording. So here's some more.
But there's better ones. Oh,
there's
yeah.
better ones. Oh yeah, especially on the Nosy app. Go test the other 5 men. I'm not your baby's dad.
Other 5 men.
5 men. 5.
Yes. Did my fiance have a threesome with both of my friends?
Oh, jeez. Wait, did my fiance have a threesome with both my friends?
Yeah.
So now that implies that there's 3 guys involved, the fiance and the 2 friends.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Go on.
If you cheated my brother, the wedding is off.
Oh, jeez.
So it's like, listen, we're going to have this great wedding, but if you cheated on my brother, forget it. We're not going to have this wedding.
You know, it's all in the family.
Yep. Is the woman I love cheating with men and women?
Huh?
Everyone on Facebook says that's not my baby. Test me.
Oh yeah, because Facebook. That's always been a high arbiter, right?
Yeah. Everybody knows the real judge of whether you're the baby's father or not is TikTok.
It only takes 15 seconds to prove I'm not the daddy.
A psychic told me my son is not your baby's father.
Sylvia Brown?
That's another show.
He's not wrong about that. Sylvia Brown will be coming up on a future installment.
It's not good. Oh, that's gonna be. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 27. Is my 18-year-old boyfriend cheating?
Nasty!
Yeah.
I'm not judging you, but I'm totally judging you.
We're all judging you. Yeah. Ew.
Rose.
Did my fiance betray me by sleeping with my best friend? Spoiler, yes.
Yes.
Because, yeah, otherwise, why are you on Maury? Exactly.
Will my fiance forgive me? I slept with her stepmother.
No. No. That's wrong.
Wrong.
Wrong. Wrong.
Why is it wrong?
Well, the stepmother. Okay, well, you know, how old is the fiance? And then how old is the stepmother? I mean, even the step. Okay, well, there's the whole fidelity thing. Let's start there. But also, you know, if the stepmother is, say, 20 years older than the fiance, a 25-year-old and a 45-year-old, yeah. Maybe it's just me because I'm at that age, the higher one, not 25, the higher end. But no, no. And I say that also because, you know, if you look at students that I've taught over the years, students that I just taught like 7 or 8 years ago would be 25, and that's kind of nasty. So you get a different perspective, I think, when you teach students who would now be of that adult age, 25 or 26, or Yeah, even 30.
Mm-hmm.
Your mileage may vary on that one, but for
Yeah.
me, that's a real. That's one that gives me shivers.
I was already pregnant with your baby when I cheated.
Jesus.
Oh boy.
Oh my.
Did my mom seduce my man in the hot tub?
Okay, go back to what I just said 2 titles ago. Nasty.
One cheating wife, 3 babies. Are these kids mine?
Oh boy.
The DNA test will prove I don't have 21 kids.
Oh,
Oh,
jeez.
Jesus.
That was a special 3-hour Maury. In test 19, you are not the father. In test 20, you are the father.
Before the wedding, I have 3 shocking sex secrets.
That sounds like a bad BuzzFeed article. And number 3 will really shock you. You won't believe secret number 2.
Did my husband sleep with 20 women?
Oh, jeez.
Oh boy.
Well, does the entire city have kids that look like that guy? It's like that episode of Family Guy where Peter donated sperm to a sperm bank, and he ends up having like 50 kids, and they all look like him.
Mm-hmm.
And they all act like him. But it's real life.
It's real. How is this real?
Is my fiancé an adult film star? Test him. Is the man I love exchanging pizza for sex?
Well, he's not exchanging chicken tetrazzini.
Boy, they're exchanging what hot Italian for another hot Italian.
Oh boy.
2 women, 2 babies. Is Leonard the father? I don't know. I mean, 2 women, 2 babies. You know what? Yeah, I think Leonard's definitely the father, guys.
Two women, 2 babies. Too bad.
Yeah.
Too bad.
Is my man cheating with our lesbian roommates?
If you have to ask, the answer is maybe.
The wedding is off until you prove it's my baby.
You know, I remember the old days where we had the wedding first and then we had the baby. And this has been another Mike Klaus old guy rant. Mike Klaus, behind the times since 2002.
Mike Klaus old guy rant.
Will DNA prove my twins have 2 different fathers? Well, you're not going to believe this, guys, but there was actually an episode of Maury where, believe it or not, DNA proved that a set of twins had 2 different fathers. And I was like, how is that possible?
I don't know the biology of it, but it is possible.
Okay. I'm going to bust my sister's husband. He's a cheater.
Oh, bring out the decoys.
Yeah. Pregnant in the 8th grade. Prove you're my baby's dad.
That hits too close to home.
Oh boy. That hasn't happened to any one of us.
Don't run, Forrest. I'm praying my baby's yours.
Run, Forrest, run!
Oh boy.
I'm sorry I had to do that. That's too good. Oh my, I'm sorry. Continue.
I'm pregnant with twins. Is my fiance cheating?
Could be two different dads.
Could be.
Do I have 18 children? I'm back for 2 more tests.
Oh, boy.
Wait, back for 2 more tests.
Back for not 1 test, 2.
Well, no, I mean, just by itself, that implies this person has 16 kids.
Hey, do you think this guy's kids will compete in a flag football game against Antonio Cromartie and Philip Rivers' kids?
Jeez.
Too many. That's like the name of a rejected Disney film. Too many kids.
That would be a great Family Feud tournament.
Starring
Here's the
Don
Jones. Here's the first 5 Jones kids versus the second 5 Jones kids. Winner plays the third 5 Jones kids.
There's too many Jones kids. This is a horrible vacation.
Oh, I wish I used the name Cook. There'd be too many cooks. Too many.
Future installment. Too many cooks.
Oh, you're darn right. We're talking about that.
We can't go an episode without mentioning the future installments. I'm sorry.
Hey, I can't make a baby with 3 thumbs. DNA will prove it.
3 thumbs?
What?
Was this episode taped in Chernobyl?
It might have been a very special episode.
Too many thumbs. Too many thumbs.
Too much inbreeding. Too much inbreeding.
We're back for more tests. Are the men we love cheating? Probably.
If they're back, yeah, probably.
I've lost 140 pounds. Is my husband cheating with large women?
As one asks when you... Yeah, because that's the first thing you ask when you've lost 140 pounds. Not, does this dress fit me anymore? Not, what's my liver profile looks like? Is my man cheating on me with them big girls?
Not that there's anything wrong with big girls.
No, there's nothing wrong with big girls.
More cushion for the pushing, baby.
Yo.
A donkey kick made me sterile. I'm not your baby's dad.
That would be TMI.
A donkey kick. Oh, no.
That must have really hurt.
That must have hurt.
Did my husband have a baby with my sister-in-law? Ew.
Again, ew, yeah. Ugh.
Like, we were really supposed to know that?
Yeah. Family DNA. Did my boyfriend get my cousin pregnant?
Sounds like Johnston County, if you ask me.
Yeah, there's jokes about West Virginia there, but I respect the state of West Virginia, so I will decline to use them.
The sex test and test will prove you're a cheater. Is my best friend really my sister? The results are in.
Well, your best friend can be your sister, but in that way. Oh, okay.
In the biblical way.
Liar. We were not together. And that's not my kid.
Okay.
One drunk weekend doesn't make me your baby's dad.
No, the fact that you beep makes you your baby's dad. The drunk weekend was just a bonus. A completely unnecessary bonus, but a bonus still the same.
If you cheated with the cleaning lady, I want a divorce.
No. No lemon pledge, Mr. Griffin. And Chico has nothing.
Oh.
I got nothing. I am dead.
Don't run, Forrest. I'm praying my baby is yours.
Hey, Forrest, again? Run, Forrest, run!
Are we back on Forrest now?
Yeah. Was Forrest on 2 episodes? Okay.
2 babies, 2 women at war. Is Brian the dad?
Yeah. No.
Better than Forrest.
The scratches came from a tree. I'm not cheating.
Darn those scratching trees.
These trees.
Well,
These trees.
Jeez. Well, yeah. If let's just say there is good wood involved.
10 seconds of sex does not make me your baby's dad.
Science says you're a liar.
My fiance is a cab driver. Is he giving free rides for sex?
And if he was in the cash cab, would that make him a prostitute?
Oh, for the love of God!
It's just a question.
For 50, 100, or 200? Or is it a red light challenge? Or is it a video bonus? Don't answer the question about the video bonus.
No, this question's for $69.
Nice.
Yes, I will marry you. If you pass the lie detector test.
Ooh.
They're back with more secrets. Shocking updates.
Okay.
Is my prom date my baby's father?
Having chaperoned a number of proms in the past, it's very possible.
How possible is it?
It's possible.
Okay. I thought that was a setup. My bad.
No, I just know stories, Chico.
Oh, boy.
That's what you get for teaching high school for almost a decade and a half.
Yeah.
My wife had a threesome. Who's the dad?
I got a penny here. I can flip it, heads or tails. And the thing is, it may not be either of those guys. It could be a third party. Ooh, there's a scandal. Ooh.
Escándalo.
Mom, I have evidence your fiance is a cheater.
Oh, no.
My wife cheated with 3 men. Am I her baby's dad?
Well, I've got a 3-headed coin here, or 3-sided coin. Never mind.
He's got dice now. He has dice now.
Yeah, I've got the D120 right here in my hand. If it's between 1 and 40, it's father 1. If it's between 41 and 80, it's father 2. And if it's between 81 and 120, it's the third father.
It's like a whorish version of Dungeons and Dragons.
It came up 35. Congratulations, father number 1.
Look at your baby's feet. That can't be my child.
I swear there's always one.
Yeah, the kid's got webbed feet. It's a platypus's kid.
Oh, we got another situation here, Mike. Oh. Who's my baby's father? My husband, my ex, or his nephew?
Oh no. Well, again, keeping it all in the family.
These 2 women are liars. Those babies aren't mine.
If it's one woman that could be lying, I would say you're right. But if it's 2, you're probably the dad.
Yeah.
Home DNA tests don't work. I'll prove you're the dad.
What do you mean those dollar store DNA tests don't work?
Oh, boy. Really?
I get all my DNA tests from Save-A-Lot.
Does Dollar Tree have any DNA tests?
I should call my cousin's wife. She's a manager at one. She could probably give you an answer to that.
My wife cheated with my best friend. Is he my child's dad?
Oh, boy.
I mean, seriously, if this is a video podcast, for almost every episode title, we could have Chico saying, "Oh boy," and me, for the video part, just shaking my head in disbelief.
Did my wife betray me by sleeping with my son?
Ew!
Yeah?
Yeah, okay, I know they're not blood relatives, but ew!
Okay then.
My dad is 74. He can't be your baby's father.
Yeah, just ask Tony Randall about that. He can't be the father.
Pregnant after Vegas. Is one of you my baby's dad?
I didn't do anything, Chico. Did you? And no response.
I got nothing.
Yeah, we were just playing trivia games in Vegas, I swear.
Yeah.
Revenge of the Nerds. We're hot and sexy now.
Oh, boy.
Nerds are generally, I'm sorry, I'm going to say it. Nerds are generally sexy, at least in my opinion.
Yes.
I like that the glasses and sort of bookworm type of girl. So, you know what? You are sexy to begin with. Just because you got breast implants doesn't make you any better in my book.
Did my maid of honor sleep with my fiance before the wedding?
Ooh.
I cheated with your best friend, Fred. Is he our baby's father?
Was her best friend Fred, was his name right, said Fred? Yeah, he's too sexy for his shirt. Never mind.
Does my husband have a pregnant mistress? Test him. 3 women. 4 babies. Is Darren the father?
Three women, 4. Dang. That's some funky math.
I got nothing for you.
Going through the YouTube page now, so hold on a second.
Oh, I think while you're looking for more, Greg, I think we're going to add one that I shared with you earlier today.
What is it?
And this one's coming up on Memorial Day.
Okay.
Lead poisoning made me sterile. That's not my baby.
Oh, you know what? This is one of those moments where you could have just stopped right there.
Okay,
well, if it isn't the lead poisoning, it's the donkey kick that makes you sterile.
Is there anything that doesn't... Okay, when you watch the Maury show, the one thing you learn quickly is what does and what does not make you sterile.
Well, I'm still waiting for an episode where somebody gets hit in the nuts with a sledgehammer.
Guys, I cheated with your family and 97 women.
Okay, I've said ew for 20 women. 100 women?
No, 97 women.
Well, you said and the family. I'm going to assume the family has 3 women. Ew.
Yeah.
I mean, he must have like a frequent shopper's card to the free clinic for testing.
I confess, I cheated and paid for sex 7 times.
7 amateur. Oh, I'm sorry.
Does Derek have 26 kids? The DNA results are in.
Oh, boy.
He has enough kids to fill a bingo board. I'm sorry.
I saw you cheat with a stripper.
Huh?
Oh, boy.
Did my fiance cheat and make an adult movie? I slept with 2 men named Antonio. Who fathered Antonio Jr.?
Oh, boy.
Spoiler. Antonio?
It's Antonio, wasn't it? It was Antonio, wasn't it?
20 women claim they slept with my man. Is he cheating?
Yeah, because all 20 of those women are liars. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I haven't made a child in 21 years. That can't be my baby.
Well, nor have I, but, well, I'm not bragging.
My friend was naked. Prove you didn't cheat with her.
Oh, boy.
Well, we talked about things being sterile. Well, Soda Pop made me sterile. That baby can't be mine.
Today I learned that drinking too much pop can make you sterile? Question mark?
It's like, translation. I don't know if this is true or not, but I'm just going to go with this.
If my husband paid for sex, I want a divorce.
What if he didn't pay for sex?
That's a good question. I'm 37. Is my 66-year-old boyfriend cheating on me?
No, he's probably already dead.
Oh, jeez. No, I'm just... I'm trying to wrap my head around that one. There's a 29-year difference.
Yeah, but she's 37. That makes it okay, doesn't it?
Maybe?
No, it doesn't. I'm sorry.
What?
Okay. My father is around that age, a little older, and if he was with a female who is 8 years younger than me, no.
Okay,
No.
right,
And I mean, even if the woman was, say, 2 years older than me, if she was 47 and he's, again, older than 66, even with a 20-year age difference, I'd be like, no. I mean, it's his life.
Yeah.
I'm not going to interfere in his life, but...
Like, I'm not judging you, but I'm totally judging you.
Oh, I'm definitely judging you, but, you live your own life, but, if I give you, negative feedback about your decisions, don't hold it against me.
DNA proved my wife had a baby with another man. Again?
Again?
Yeah.
Boy, that one was so good I had to get a tissue.
Oh, boy. Hey, don't waste those tissues. We're still conserving them.
Oh, I've got plenty of tissues.
The test will prove your fiancé is secretly in love with me.
Really?
Yeah, it's a thing. I can't say I've ever been a part of it or known anybody that's been a part of it, but I definitely know it's a thing.
On TV, no less.
It was a thing on Maury. That's like our 20th spin-off podcast. It was a thing on Maury.
DNA test my husband and ex-husband. One of them is the dad. Well, it's going to be either the husband or the ex-husband.
Yeah, because people don't cheat.
Yeah.
There couldn't be a third man involved.
No.
That never happens.
Not on Maury, no.
Sexting evidence exposed. Is my newlywed husband cheating?
Did I mention that never happens?
Sexting evidence. Boy, is my husband cheating? All signs point to, yeah, he is.
What do you want me to tell you? You're not? He's not?
My husband doesn't get it. I cheated, and he's not the dad.
Oh, now that's low.
That is low. That's like a big kick in the balls.
Which apparently makes you sterile. Apparently.
Boy, there's a fourth thing that makes you sterile.
Now, I'm not a medical expert or anything, except where I'm totally a medical expert or anything. But a lot of things can kill you. a lot of things can help you, and a lot of things can make you sterile.
Yeah.
It depends on a lot, really.
Well, there's lead poisoning. There's donkey kicks. There's soda. And now this.
Is the man I love in a secret relationship with my mom?
Again, ew.
Gross!
What do you expect? Teen couples with kids put to the test. Who's cheating?
Wait, it depends on which test.
Yeah.
I'm going to paint it with a broad brush. If you're a teenager, you're probably cheating.
Yeah. I only video chatted with that naked woman. I didn't cheat.
It's not cheating if it's not on video. I guess that's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, they never met up.
Will the DNA test prove I have 15 kids?
Is that Philip Rivers' DNA test?
Oh, God. I'm not judging you, but oh my
You are
God.
You are judging me hard. I know.
It's truth time. Is the man I love using my car to cheat? Well, what kind of car is it?
Well, it gets him from place A to place B, so I think that's all that really matters.
Yeah.
It isn't necessarily how expensive the car. It's the fact it's a running car that can take you from place to place.
It is a car that gets you from here to there, here to there, here to there.
If the test proves you cheated, you can't marry my daughter.
Well, good on that parent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But what happens if it proves that he didn't cheat? Well, she's going to look like the fool.
Well, the wedding's going to go on, though, I would assume.
Yeah. Okay. Chemo left me sterile. I can't be your child's father.
See, that actually makes sense because one of the side effects of chemotherapy is sterility.
Yeah, that actually makes scientific sense.
Not like soda pop.
Not soda pop sterile, but
Well, maybe they had a soda while they were getting chemo. Who knows?
Well, that makes sense.
But no, that actually does make a ton of sense that, yeah, a side effect of chemo would be some form of sterility. So I'm not surprised at all.
Yeah. 14 days to the wedding. Prove you're not cheating.
Hey, they spent an early honeymoon in New York City.
Yeah.
right?
That's what matters. You know, even if it proves that DNA test proves that he's cheating, then you know what? At least they got the early honeymoon.
Yeah.
Are you cheating? I found your list of 150 women.
Oh my gosh.
Really?
150 women.
Worst game of Pokemon ever.
It's 1 versus 150. Do.
Oh man. Yeah.
Again, worst game of Pokemon ever.
No, I'm not reading that title. That's too horrible.
Do it.
No.
Come on, Greg.
All right.
It's for
here
the
we go.
podcast.
Did my sister have a baby with my fiance? Sister secrets revealed.
You're right. That was terrible.
Jeez.
You're right. That was terrible.
Yeah.
It's still staying in the show.
You asked for that. My sister slept with a lot of men. That's not your kid.
How many men did she sleep with?
A lot. Probably a list of 150.
I was going to say, were there going to be 150? Oh, jeez.
That cat hair proves it. You're cheating with an X.
Damn it, Banoodles!
Oh, boy.
Do I have 22 kids? I'm back for 4 more DNA tests.
Oh, boy. How are you going to get 22 kids from 4 DNA tests? The math literally doesn't add up.
No.
Who said math was involved here? You're way overanalyzing this.
I'm 23. I'll prove this 53-year-old man is my baby's dad.
Again. Ew!
God, Mike, and I thought you were disgusted last week with everyone wanting to sleep with Chaz.
No, clearly Matthew Perry was a man whore.
I have a secret. My son is cheating on you. Worst episode of I've Got a Secret ever.
Oh, boy.
I'll prove I just gave birth to your fiance's baby. Well, how? How are you going to prove that?
DNA test?
Yeah. Probably. You got my daughter pregnant twice. How can you deny her kids? I don't know. You were switched at birth. DNA will prove I'm not your mother.
Oh, geez. A maternity test.
Yes.
Wow.
A rare
That's
maternity
new.
test.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. This is something even for Maury. Your profile pics make me sick. Social media makeovers. 1 man, 3 women, 3 babies. Is Grady the father? Well, is he the father?
Probably not.
Will I be celebrating Father's Day? The results are in.
This is one of those things where it's like, you want to be the father, I guess?
Yeah.
Presumably, yeah.
Because I know they had those episodes, like, I just want to be the father of her baby.
Yeah. And so I'll take care of this baby. I'll do anything. Oh, man. And then you get all the drama. And he cock teases you the whole episode while you're waiting for all this other stuff about is this guy the father or not. Because Maury's a master of suspense, damn it. You know what else is has a lot of suspense that you can tease throughout the entire episode?
What's that?
Who stole $2,500 from me? My son or my nephew?
Jeez.
Well, it's $2,500, so I mean that's pretty serious stuff. But it's either your son or your nephew. Your own dad says you cheated. Is that my baby?
Way to support your family, Dad.
I'm back for my 6th DNA test. Is this my 5th baby?
Well, you got a lot of catching up to do to get to that person who's got 26 babies.
You're too big to work the twerk. Maury makeovers.
Too big to work the twerk.
Yep. Where did my man learn new sex moves?
Oh, boy. Probably from watching stuff. Anyway.
Secrets revealed. I cheated with over 200 men. Is my fiancé a pimp and cheating on me? Test him. A pimp and cheating on you.
That's impossible. No, that's not. Because what self-respecting pimp does that, right?
Who's my baby's father? Don or his brother Tim?
Oh, I was hoping it'd be Don or Don Jr. or the other Don.
Oh, God. We're triplets. Did my husband cheat with both of my sisters?
Oh, boy.
Oh, no.
It lasted 60 seconds. I can't be your baby's dad.
Hey, he lasted 50 seconds longer than that guy that did 10 seconds.
Oh. And the last one, guys. You ran when I got you pregnant. You can't escape the DNA results.
Oh my gosh.
Oh boy.
Well, what did we learn this episode?
We learned that Maury's staff has many ways of titling episodes about DNA tests or lie detector tests. That they're polishing a turd 20,000 different ways.
Yeah, and God bless them for it. Oh, but I'll say this. Maury's staff has some weird episode titles that draw you in. And I'll tell you this.
Uh-huh.
Someone might have 31 children, but DNA tests won't prove you're not one of them. But you know what? All these titles, they were things on TV.
They were something. I don't know exactly what they were, but yeah.
They were things, and they were on TV.
Yeah, this was a different episode. And we did actually have a Twitter poll earlier this week saying if you wanted more shows like this or if you wanted to stick mainly to series. And I think there was a unanimous vote. I think everybody who voted said go with this oddball stuff. Don't just make it about series. Go do some different topics, some non-conventional topics, if you will.
Yeah, well, you know something? We like oddball stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, and we'll continue that next week. Yeah, 5 votes, 100%. Should we do more non-TV episodes? And and everybody said yes. So you're getting your wish.
Wow!
Until next time, America. Thank you.
Whatever. I do what I want.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Place to Be Nations, JT Rosero and Chad Campbell here. We want to let you know that we have over 24 podcasts available on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and PlaceToBeNation.com. We now offer them to you on 2 great feeds. On the Place to Be Nation Wrestling feed, we dive into topics running the gamut from today's WWE to the glory days of yesteryear and the ins and outs of the territory days. In addition to our full-length shows, we also deliver to you special pod blasts on topics old and new.
The Place to Be Nation Pop feed is a veritable treasure trove of great content. Offer tremendous shows covering the land of movies, television, life, comics, and sports, brought to you by the most knowledgeable and insightful folks in the podcast world.
You can find all these great shows, plus archives of our past podcasts from over the past 8 years as well by subscribing to both feeds on iTunes. And while you're there, be sure to rate and leave feedback as well. All of these shows, plus others, available on PlaceToBeNation.com, where we cover pro wrestling, sports, movies, comics, plus in-depth search projects, and much more. Be sure to support our site by using www.PlaceToBeNation.com/Amazon when doing your online shopping. And we want to thank our friends at Boneheads, Wing Bar, ProWrestlingOnly.com, and HistoryOfWrestling.com as well. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Tumblr. PlaceToBeNation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
Episode 61, submission number 041. Primetime starts at 7:30. Primetime starts at 7:30 was a programming block initiative by NBC owned and operated stations and several syndicated outlets that aired during the 1987-1988 season. Okay, so let's go back to the 80s for a moment. The greed is good era, the I gotta get mine, F you era, and nowhere was this more prevalent than the landscape of Prime Access syndication. Really? Prime Access syndication? That's the hill everybody's dying on? Oh, well.
Well, first run syndication, Chico, in the 1980s was big business.
It was indeed big business.
Yeah. I mean, most of the 80s and into the early 90s, the first run syndication business, especially for comedies, was really booming. And then it sort of petered out, and then it was tried again briefly, if you remember. This would be about, 8 years ago now, when anger management was a thing before it went to FX?
I know what you're talking about. This was basically the Tyler Perry model, which you order a boatload of episodes and then run them in syndication as well as on cable.
No, not just Tyler Perry. You could also include Byron Allen. With his comedies.
Our old favorite Byron Allen.
Yeah. So in the fall of 1987, NBC decided they were going to test the syndicated waters with their owned and operated stations with a package of 5 sitcoms under the banner Prime Time Begins at 7:30. And I believe the voice of that block was it was the guy who does the voiceover for NBC in the 1980s. I know it wasn't Ernie Anderson, but
because Ernie would be at ABC. So
yeah.
Just if you remember NBC in the late 1980s, the voiceover guy, you know who we're talking about.
I know exactly who we're talking about.
All right, so let me.
It was between the ages of Casey Kasem and Joe Cipriano. Steve McCall, Mason Adams, Bill Rock, one of those two things.
We'll leave it to our dedicated listeners to let us know who it is.
Yeah, someone has to know who it was.
Okay, I'm guessing it was Steve McCall because he's billed as the voice of NBC's must-see TV. So, if I'm wrong, you can just email us here at the station.
What station?
Exactly. Okay, so again, hopefully you get to find a commercial for this because it was really an interesting sort of cross-promotion between NBC and the affiliates. And it would have worked. Well, we'll get to why it didn't work in a moment, but here's what was on the block. 5 shows, 5 sitcoms, 30 minutes in length, 1 sitcom every day. Obviously.
And reasonably 4 entries out of these 5.
Yeah, reasonably. The first was on Monday. You had future installment Marblehead Manor, which featured the husband and wife heirs to a corn oil fortune and their eccentric staff.
And I think Greg has something to say about that.
Oh,
I know Greg has something to say about that.
I watched the intro, and I was amazed at 2 people who were on this show. Phil Morris and Michael Richards. Roughly about, 7 or 8 years before they would act again together as Kramer and Jackie Childs on Seinfeld.
It's crazy, man.
Yeah, 7 years. It was 94, I think.
Yeah, because obviously Jackie Childs was inspired by Johnny Cochran, so.
Tuesdays was, Greg, say it with me.
She's the sheriff.
A comeback vehicle for Suzanne Summers, who was suddenly appointed to sheriff after A, her husband dies, and B, the commissioner of Lakes County, Nevada, which, by the way, does not exist, but is somewhere near Lake Tahoe, appoints her to the office held by her late husband. So she inherits her husband's title, office, and peace.
Yeah.
And I'm going to add there's 3 people on this show besides Suzanne Summers who are names that you might recognize.
Oh, I recognize one of them, baby.
Well, there's 2 that maybe you recognize. I definitely guarantee that you'd recognize 2 of them.
Well, I
recognize 4, but that's only because I watch TV a lot.
Okay, who do you recognize, Greg?
George Weiner.
Yes, from Spaceballs, playing Colonel Sanders. But also George Weiner later went on, and this is actually going to be something we're going to cover on in an episode which we're calling Show Within a Show. George Weiner played the director of a TV show called Peas in a Pod, which was in the episode, in the TV show Married with Children. So we'll talk about George Weiner somewhere down the road when we get to the show and the show entry. But I'm surprised he's the one you recognize. You didn't recognize Pat Carroll?
Oh, Pat Carroll, yeah, of course.
Yeah, Pat Carroll's legendary. And the third name I recognized is Geach Cook. And you're probably saying, who the hell's Geach Cook? Well, he did like a week or two of Match Game in like 78 or 79. But also, he's going to show up later this year in the future installment, Carter Country!
Woohoo!
Yay.
Okay. And the fourth one I recognize, and I can't believe you guys didn't recognize it, was Leonard Lightfoot, who was the pre-Dexter Stuffins in season 1 of Silver Spoons. Can't believe you guys didn't recognize that.
Well, it's season 1 of Silver Spoons.
True. Okay. On Wednesday was a television adaptation of the play You Can't Take It With You, starring Harry Morgan, Lois Nettleton, Richard Sanders, Lisa Aleph, Heather Blodgett, and Theodore Wilson.
Ooh, that's a good cast right there.
It is.
Well, I was going to say, looking at these first 3 shows, all 3 shows have decent casts. I mean, when you're talking about Pat Carroll and Michael Richards, even though, that was the era between Future Installment Fridays and Seinfeld, and you're looking at Harry Morgan and Lois Nettleton on this, these are quality casts for the most part.
Yeah, NBC was definitely spending the money to try to get talent for these 7:30 shows.
Yeah. Too bad this one only lasted 4 episodes, so we're going to cover it on a later show. Thursday was arguably the best and longest running of the 5 shows. Out of This World, starring Donna Pesco and Joe Alasky and Doug McClure and a young actress by the name of Maureen Flanagan as a teenager born to an alien father and human mother that develops supernatural abilities on her, was it her 13th birthday or her 15th birthday?
It was her 15th birthday, I believe.
Okay, it was her 15th birthday. This one would go on to be the longest running of the 5.
Yeah, this one actually had a good life in syndication. But I'm actually very disappointed you failed to mention one actor.
Oh, yeah.
Here we go.
Wait, you don't even know what I'm going to say, and you're saying,
I know
here
where you're going, because you mention this all the time we bring up Out of This World.
The voice of the voice of the father.
Not that.
Not the voice of the father. See, I think Greg knows what I'm talking about.
Yes, I know what he's talking about.
Well, okay, the voice of the father, let's get that out of the way.
Okay, the voice of the father was Burt Reynolds.
Yeah, let's get that out of the way. No, I'm talking about, who was it? Was her name Edie or Evie?
Evie. I mentioned Maureen Flanagan.
No. Wait a second, my friend. I'm not talking about Evie. I'm talking about Evie's boyfriend. Chris?
Steve Burton. He's so dreamy.
Yeah, Steve Burton, who has been on General Hospital now for, probably close to 30 years. But also, true fact, I went to school with his brother, and he was my Little League baseball coach in summer of 1984.
Oh, boy. Is this going to be a story?
That's the story. I mean, I can tell you how badly I did that year in Little League baseball, but nobody would care. I led the entire league in walks.
So your OBP, Mike, in 1984 Little League was fantastic.
But my batting average was crap, yes. But, Evie's boyfriend, Steve Burton, was my Little League baseball coach in 1984, right before he went to Los Angeles. And as I said, his brother, with a different last name, actually, graduated with me, but also alphabetically was right before me in that graduating class.
Oh.
Ooh.
Yeah, I give you all the deets.
Sure showed me.
Okay, so that's all I wanted to add. This wasn't going to be a lecture or anything. I just thought it'd be an interesting little side note to stick in there.
Yeah.
Well, it is. Well, it's very interesting and very side notish.
Yes. I will say, out of this world, this is definitely probably the best remembered of all the 5. I mean, it's not saying much, but, I mean, this is like the one of the 5 that was actually good.
Well, this is the one of the 5 that's not going to be an entry.
Yeah.
It's definitely not going to be... We're not going to be talking about the planet Antarius on this show anytime soon.
No. Hey, guys, you know what's going to be on the list, though?
The show that aired on Friday?
Yup. The 2nd season of We Got It Made.
And because it was 4 years after the first season, unfortunately, Matt McCoy was busy warming up to sell life insurance. So we get...
No, he was busy on the set of Police Academy 5!
Oh, yeah!
With Janet Jones, no less!
Yeah, it's not as good as Police Academy 4, I'm afraid.
Oh, no. Police Academy 4 is the high note of the series. I mean, you had David Spade in it. I mean, come on. And Tony Hawk. Tony Hawk in a cameo, too.
I will fight somebody.
We will go to war over Police Academy 4. It's the best.
Tell him, Greg.
You'd agree, too, right, Mike?
I'm afraid to admit this. I've never seen any Police Academy movies.
What? Are you kidding me, Mike?
I wish I was, but I'm not.
Oh.
Oh my god! Oh my god! So, well, anyway, we have the 2nd season of We Got It Made, and John Hillener would join Tom Villard and Terry Copley in the and I'm guessing it was another spacious New York high-rise because, again, 4 years after the first one, you're not going to get the original one, right?
No.
Well, I don't know if you guys know who John Hillner is, but if you remember Tiny Toon Adventures, and who doesn't remember Tiny Toon Adventures? John Hillner actually voiced Michigan J. Frog.
Whoa. What?
Nice.
That, exactly. He voiced Michigan J. Frog on Tiny Toon Adventures.
Did not realize Michigan J. Frog was on an episode of Tiny Toon Adventures.
Remember, Michigan J. Frog made appearances on Animaniacs, and obviously at that time, that's when the WB was becoming a full-fledged network. So, but yeah, I know that there's it looks like he was on 2 episodes, but I remember at least one Tiny Toon Adventures episode where Michigan J. Frog, was it came to life and was speaking, and I think sort of scared either a little child or some adult at the house because they thought he was just a pet, and now he starts singing, "Hello, my baby, hello, my darling." He does all that stuff.
Yes, he had to at least be singing the Michigan Rag. Had to.
Everybody loves the Michigan Rag.
I'm sure he did that too.
Yeah. So there you have it. That was the lineup. And what could we say except it probably would have worked, but there was just one thing getting in its way. Actually, it's more like 3 things getting in its way. You know how nowadays we have the big 3 syndicated game shows, Wheel, Jeopardy, and Family Feud, all in Prime Access?
Yes.
We don't actually get Family Feud in Prime Access here, but that's another argument for another day.
Yeah. Well, in the 1980s, they had their own version of the Big 3. Wheel of Fortune, Jeopardy, and some show produced by Orion, created by Meryl Heater and Bob Quigley called The New Hollywood Squares.
Oh, I'd fight you on that one. I think another show that was even bigger than Hollywood Squares at the time, because you got to remember, Hollywood Squares was canceled a season later, 89.
Well, two seasons later.
It was 2 seasons later.
It was 90?
No, 89.
89.
I said 89.
This is 87.
No.
Oh, my bad.
We're talking about primetime begins at 7:30. It's 80. Oh,
yeah.
Okay. I don't.
89 would be 89 would be a season later. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I know where Mike is going with this.
Math, people, please. Okay, so as I was saying, I actually think there would be a bigger show than Hollywood Squares that would be airing in that time slot. Plus, also Hollywood Squares here aired at I want to say 5:30. The show I'm thinking of is Entertainment Tonight.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah.
Barry Hart, John Tesh. Come on, what more needs to be said right there?
Exactly.
So you had those shows getting in the way of primetime starting at 7:30, and as a result, Marblehead Manor, We Got It Made, and You Can't Take It With You were canceled after the seasons ended. With She's the Sheriff lasted for another year afterwards in weekend syndication, and Out of This World would go on, like we said, to last another 3 seasons. Again, mostly on weekends. I remember growing up in Central California, we would actually get the feeds from KTLA in Central California. They ended up airing all of Out of This World with a block of The Munsters Today and My Secret Identity.
We don't have My Secret Identity on the list, I don't think. I know we have the new Munsters, or the Munsters Today, but I don't think My Secret Identity is on there.
I don't even know. I don't.
Lasted 3 good years. How could it possibly be on there unless I were to, I don't know, put it on the list right now?
I don't, guys. I don't know what My Secret Identity is.
Derek McGrath as a crackpot inventor that invents a machine that gives Jerry O'Connell superpowers.
Oh, of course. Of course this would involve Jerry O'Connell. Of course.
Darn kids. But it's a similar situation as to what aired here in Cleveland. If I remember correctly, it aired Saturday afternoons, I want to say probably in the 5 o'clock range or 6 o'clock range. And it aired with other shows like Mama's Family, which would have been wrapping up right about that time, in 89, 90-ish. And it didn't air with Munsters Today or What a Country. Oh, another entry, What a Country. But syndication back 30 years ago, the weekends were just loaded with first-run comedies. And then, and that even goes back a good number of years before then, because you had shows like What's Happening Now.
Yeah.
And that had a good 3-year run.
Well, guys, do you know what show premiered in first-run syndication in 1987? That would be the big monster hit in first-run syndication for the next couple of years after that?
Ooh, me,
I got an idea, too, but I'll let Chico answer.
Me, pick me.
Chico?
Star Trek The Next Generation.
Yes.
Oh, you see, I wasn't going to answer that. I was going to say Harry and the Hendersons.
You shut your mouth, Mike Klaus.
Whoops. Also, I was going to say Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, but that wouldn't be 87. That, I think, is closer to 88 or 89.
Well, the movie would have been 89.
Right. But, yeah, then it went to TV sometime thereafter. But still, my answers weren't as good as the correct answer.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I can say from my experience, even though I was 3 years old at the time that this aired, I can say, at least from New York, because I'm trying to think. At the time, I know Entertainment Tonight, which was on Channel 7 pre-87, moved to Channel 9 here, which was WWOR sometime around 87, and then because Entertainment Tonight used to air at 7:30, because Jeopardy had in '86 moved from 4 o'clock on Channel 7 to 7 o'clock at Channel 7, which remains to this day because the Oprah Winfrey Show obviously premiered at 4 o'clock. There was a spot that was open at 7:30, and you can probably guess what replaced Entertainment Tonight on Channel 7 at 7:30.
That would be Wheel of Fortune.
Yes, because Wheel of Fortune originally in syndication in New York aired on WCBS Channel 2. And it's basically remained the same at 7 o'clock for the last, about 32, 33 years. Jeopardy at 7, Wheel of Fortune at 7:30.
We looked at the block, and we know it failed, and we could get into why. But I found an interesting article from the archives of the Washington Post here.
Oh, I see it right here. At NBC, Slime Time starts at 7:30.
Yeah.
No, Tom Shales, that's not for like another year.
But yeah, apparently it gives us some numbers here. It was produced. Each of those sitcoms were produced for $300,000 to $350,000 per episode, which is about $100,000 less than the standard tape network sitcom. But according to this article, that's not the problem. The problem is that all 5 shows tend to be underdeveloped and overacted. Performers chew the sceneries to tatters, then threaten to nibble on the wardrobe.
Which is a fair assessment for, I would say, 4 of the 5 shows. I'm sorry, I know I'm a little biased because of the Steve Burton connection, but I mean, there's a reason Out of This World lasted, 4 seasons.
A, it was really cheap to produce, and B, C-A.
It was a good show. I mean, it wasn't as corny as She's the Sheriff or Marblehead Manor or We've Got It Made. I mean, it was a decent show.
Ah, okay.
I liked it. I mean, again, keeping my bias out of it, it was one of the shows that I watched quite a bit when I was growing up in the late 80s / early 90s. And again, not because of the Steve Burton connection.
Let's just say Mike was of a certain age, and so was Maureen Flanagan.
That is not incorrect.
I'm looking at the reviews of all of the shows. Marblehead Manor was called a stale, bland hash of slapstick and double entendre about a rich family and its dippy servants. And Upstairs, Downstairs for the unthinking. You Can't Take It With You feebly updates the classic 30s stage play by Kaufman and Hart. This time the characters have not really rejected the competitive rat race birthed by the characters in the play. They're just a tribe of wackies who loll around the house. Out of This World, best of the motley lot, returns that chipper sweetheart Donna Pesco, who, by the way, was my first TV crush, to series television, this time as a woman who 14 years earlier married an alien from outer space and gave birth to a daughter by him, or it.
You're not wrong about Donna Pescow. Oh my gosh, she was so adorable. And she probably still is, but yeah, she was a darling back on Out of This World back in '87.
I gotta say something, guys. I find it incredible Donna Pascal and Burt Reynolds could produce a kid as beautiful as Evie was on that show. Indeed. That's very impressive.
Hey, aliens can do anything. She's the Sheriff, the most publicized of the pack, brings Suzanne Summers back to series TV, but not precisely in a big way, because she, at the last minute, replaced another actress in the lead role, because, apparently, Annie Potts wanted too much money.
Annie Potts? Really? That was not the name I was expecting.
Well, the pilot dates back to 1982, so...
Oh, yes. Was it a pilot or a series? Because when I was looking up the information, it made it sound like it was a series on CBS, not just a pilot.
I think it was originally a pilot for CBS.
Yeah, it was a pilot for CBS. Annie Potts was dropped in favor of Carolyn McWilliams, who had just left Benson at the time. That show was not picked up to series. She's the Sheriff was to star Priscilla Barnes.
Wow!
Now, oh my gosh. You can't write that.
You can't make this shit up, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow.
And now you know. And knowing is blah, 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 blah. And on Fridays, the reviews of We've Got It Made, it basically said... Oh, sorry. I keep saying We've Got It Made, but that's grammatically correct. However, that's not the title of the show. It's We Got It Made. And all it says was, one of the worst sitcoms in modern history.
Oh, but just read what Tom Shales has to say about America's Ass from 1983.
I've got it right here. Villard, a cross between Tom Hanks and Gale Storm, mugs, leaps, grimaces, squawks, and drools his way through the lowbrow hijinks. He may win this year's competition for television's most consistently irritating imbecile. Scientists should begin at work at once on a vaccine to prevent him.
Oh, come on, Tom Shales.
No, that's well deserved. That describes Tom Villard to a T.
There's a reason why we call him America's Ass. But that's another show for another day.
Yeah, with all due respect to Chris Evans.
And by that we mean no respect to Chris Evans.
Oh, come on, Mike. Hey, Chris Evans was in Snowpiercer.
The movie or the upcoming TV show?
No, the movie.
Oh, okay. Because there's another... Anyway.
There is a TV show about Snowpiercer. And by the way, there's something I found out about Snowpiercer, but I'm not going to share it on this. I'm going to wait for a future episode.
So there you go. A short-lived, do we even want to call it a well-intentioned enterprise?
No.
If it was more well-intentioned, they probably would have either had better shows or spent more money on it, because you said it was about $300,000 to $350,000 an episode, which was about $100,000 less than other half-hour comedies. So, I mean, that's 25% less budget. So, that might mean not as good writers, or... Again, the actors, the names they got were great for these shows. But also, as we mentioned earlier, the competition against Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune and Entertainment Tonight, and the different offerings you had in that 7:30 time slot, depending on your city and their budget for that time slot, just absolutely mutilated it.
Yep. I remember when this was airing on one channel here in North Carolina. It was airing Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy. On another channel, it was airing Entertainment Tonight. On a third channel, they were airing The Newlywed Game and The Dating Game. So, yeah, that you're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 big entries into 80s syndication, and you cannot find a place for this on our lineup, I'm afraid.
No.
How indeed.
So in Cleveland, for the 7 to 8 o'clock hour in 1987-88, you had Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy on WEWS, which is where it was at until like 2011, 2012, when it moved to WOIO at the same time spot. So for the last 36 years or so, Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy has been the 7 to 8 hour, somewhere in that order. And then on WJK, I believe it was WJKW, it wasn't WJW at the time, you had the CBS Evening News, because the local news was an hour-long broadcast at 6, and then you had PM Magazine. And on WOIO 19, which was a relatively new channel at the time, you had reruns of Soap and Hogan's Heroes. But here on Channel 3 WKYC, the NBC affiliate, you had the news at 7. You had the news at 7, then you had whatever comedy at 8. Primetime begins at 7:30 block. Actually bumped Entertainment Tonight from WKYC for that year. Entertainment Tonight actually moved to WEWS at 11:30 at night versus The Tonight Show. But then after all this happened, probably around 89, 90, Entertainment Tonight came back to WKYC at the 7:30 p.m. time slot, and that's where it's been ever since for the last 30 years. It didn't return in 88 because 7:30 on Channel 3 in 88, 89, and 89, 90, and maybe even 90, 91 was Ray Combs' Family Feud.
Okay. Because if I'm not mistaken, that the Family Feud didn't start syndication until that fall. Right?
Fall of 88, yes. Yeah, because we didn't, I don't think in the beginning our area got Family Feud on CBS when it got revived in mid-88. And my first exposure to it was the syndicated version, which I'm pretty sure debuted 88, 89. Definitely it was on 89, 90, but I thought it started 88. And you see, Win, Lose, or Draw, I thought was on at 7:30 as well, because that was the hyped-up show of 87, 88 in terms of game shows, and Win, Lose, or Draw aired at 5:30 here. We had a nice little game show block on NBC at the time. Newlywed Game, High Rollers, Squares, and Win, Lose, or Draw from 4 to 6.
Well, prime time at 7:30. It arrived at an interesting time. One would say it was before its time. If it could have creeped up, 2 or 3 years, maybe relegated itself to weekends, it would have been perhaps moderately successful. But instead, prime time at 7:30. You wouldn't believe it, but in 1987, it was a thing on TV. We're going to wrap things up with a little round of eBay Price is Right. We're not going to talk about this show on a future installment. We might as well, get some mileage out of it. Okay, Mike, Greg, you are bidding on an out-of-this-world script.
Oh?
Written by April Kelly. The episode is Good Night, Sweetheart, Good Night. Or as it would later be called, Till Then. It is an authentic script from Bob Booker Productions of Universal City, California. And it is dated 1987.
Okay.
Is it autographed in any way, or
it is not autographed in any way?
Oh, dang!
Okay.
I was
All
hoping it would have Joe Lasky's autograph on it or something.
I wish.
And Joe Lasky's not with us anymore.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Sad, very sad.
But hey, he was in Space Jam.
He was indeed in Space Jam.
Just to tie it in with The Last Dance.
And future entry Couch Potatoes.
Okay, what are my bids?
I will go with $86.48.
Mike?
$1, Bob.
Okay, the actual buy it now price for this script of Out of This World from 1987 is $200.
Yeah!
What?
It's not signed, but it is going for $200. I don't get it myself, but whatever.
Those are the same people that are paying $9,500 for those hand puppets of Wilkins and Wonkins.
Hey, I'll tell you what. It's no glossy press photo of Mr. Smith, Bobo, and Leonard Fry. I'll tell you that much.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, boy.
I know he was going to go there.
Oh, either that or the picture of Simon McCorkindale with the Falcon.
Hey, Greg, Do Simon McCorkindale screeching.
Row!
Thank you.
Home, home, come on home to NBC. Hey, check it out, we got a fresh idea. Talking comedy to make the whole house cheer. The time's the key, you're hearing it right. Primetime moves 7:30 at night. Primetime moves, the more games so rough. We're gonna make you laugh, we're gonna bust your gut. So you know where you want to be. Watching Primetime early on NBC. Home, home, come on home to NBC.
Yeah, primetime starts at 7:30. That was something. Alright everybody, we got some great stuff going on here at the Place to Be Nation Pop Feed right now. We got a lot of great shows that have come out in the last week. Actually, what has just dropped is Diamond Conversations. In the latest episode of Diamond Conversations, it features 1995 first-round draft pick of the Pittsburgh Pirates, former MLB outfielder Chad Hermanson. Chad is currently an area scout with the Los Angeles Angels and a mental skills performance coach based out of Las Vegas. In the interview, he talks about his career, the stacked 1995 MLB draft, career first, his mental edge training program, and interview series that is featured on his YouTube channel. In the fourth part of the James Bond legacy, it looks at Bond in the 90s, covering Pierce Brosnan. They discuss his almost shot at Bond in 1986, the death of Cubby Broccoli, bad casting, but great acting, as they continue on the odyssey that is Bond, James Bond. You know what probably won't be discussed on that podcast on the James Bond legacy regarding Pierce Brosnan? Future entry, the Diet Coke Sony sweepstakes spot with Pierce Brosnan. Yeah, you can expect that to happen sometime soon. Google it, kids. The 6th episode of the Laugh-In Theater special looked at Ready to Rumble. Andy Atherton was joined by Sean Kidd, Eric Eels, and James Grunberg to do a live watch of the 2000 comedy. The guys discussed dead wrestlers, ass fingers, stunt doubles, food safety issues, WCW security, Scott Conn and David Arquette's filmographies, computer hacking, personal appearance fees, the Nitro Girls, wrestling show after parties, Butterfingers, and Stupid Dreams. Oh man, there's going to be a lot of stuff probably that's going to be listening into that episode that I'm probably going to download. And I hope. Man, Sherman was from American Pie was a computer hacker in that movie. Yeah, that happened. It was the most 2000s looking computer ever. But I gotta tell you, Sherman from American Pie did great work helping Scott Conn and David Arquette get Jimmy King's address where they ran into Caroline Ray in a trailer park. Yep. In regular Laugh-In Theater, Andy was joined by Logan Crossland to do a live watch of Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. The guys discussed Careless Delivery Men, Dog Eat Gibberish, Joe Robbie Stadium Security, High Fiber, Binks the Monkey, Sports Superstitions, Pagers, Tone Locke's filmography, the greatness of the name Raynor Shalene, The Love Boat, Men's Room Etiquette, Fear of Heights, Isotoner Gloves, and Truck Jobs. And in episode 25 of Sunday Groove, host David Sunday discusses a music topic with guest and close friend Greg Phelps from Hard Traveling Fanboys as they talk about the awesome music that is currently entertaining and keeping them sane right now. And of course, we got other excellent things going on in Place to Be Nation, like the Place to Be Nation Wrestling Feed, which includes a dive into topics running the gamut from the days of WWE through yesteryear. The feed includes the Place to Be podcast, Main Event, Jenny and the Gems, Body Pressure Lock, PTB NXT, the NWA Saturday Special, and so much more. And while you're at it, subscribe to Jennifer Smith's The Jenny Position as the home of Geek and Sassy, Talking Pop, Freak Out Drive-In, Telling Stories, and more. And also check out the North-South Connection brought to you by JT Rizzero and Chad Campbell. It's the home for Wrestling Warzone, No Holds Barred, Extreme 3-Way Dance, Jeff Learns Wrestling, and more. And we have officially kicked off our 2020 stretch project determining the greatest WCW match ever. You have all year to do research, promote matches, and build your list. Conversation rules can be found at www.facebook.com/GWCW matches or on the Pro Wrestling Only message board. And be sure not to forget to check out PlaceToBeNation.com each and every day. We have new voices and fresh takes, bringing articles on topics of the world's wrestling, sports, and pop culture, including Trent's SmackDown and Fox Report. This week in the WWE by John Crow, Paulie's Perspective, Jason's DVD Deep Dive, Ben's Unpopular Opinion. Don't forget about veteran columns like Glenn Butler's Wednesday Walk Around the Web. And if you're doing online shopping over at Amazon.com, be sure to click on the Amazon banner on the right side of the Place to Be Nation homepage, or use www.placetobenation.com/Amazon, and it takes you right to Amazon and helps out PTPN at no cost to you. Alright, now it's time to get into our third and final topic of the day. And while I would love to hear the NES version of Girls in Cars playing for the next couple of minutes, as the rest of you would, it's time to get into our final topic, and that is a show from the early 1980s on NBC that was in some ways ahead of its time. It starred the late great Tony Randall, and it is Love, Sidney. So here we go with our final topic as we talk about 1980s NBC comedy Love, Sidney.
Episode 62, Submission 631, Love, Sidney. Love, Sidney aired on NBC from October 28th, 1981 to June 6th of 1983 for a total of 44 episodes.
Please believe me. Lately my whole world is changing. Suddenly you're here and my life's better than before. Friends forever, sharing everything together, always understanding just how much the other cares. Friends forever, you know that's how I feel. We'll stick together. Please say we got a deal. We're friends forever, and when the rest have gone, it's you who will be there for me, my friend.
So Tony Randall, a versatile actor as he is, of course we know from The Odd Couple, and that's pretty much it, I think. The Odd Couple, and that's pretty much it, I think. Well, this was his great return to television, but it actually started before the series.
Well, hold up, Chico, because before this show and after The Odd Couple, he was on a show that aired for 2 seasons on ABC, and you know what it was called?
What was it called?
It was called The Tony Randall Show.
Oh yeah, we're going to be covering that later, aren't we?
Yeah. Oh, and you know who else was on that show?
Who else was on that show?
Barney Martin, who played Jerry's dad on Seinfeld.
Ah,
Interesting.
Yep.
quite interesting.
And it was written, one of the writers on that show was Gary David Goldberg, who would later go on to create Family Ties.
Ah. And future installment Day by Day.
Yep.
Or am I thinking of one of the Borowitz people? Anyway.
Yeah.
So we're going back to a short story written by Marilyn Cantor Baker called Sidney Shore, a Girl's Best Friend. It's about a guy named Sidney Shore, and he was a girl's best friend. But not just any girl, an up-and-coming actress, or actually an actress, and by actress we mean, trying to make it actress, named Laurie Morgan, and her young daughter, Patty. Aspiring actress. Thank you, Brain. That short story was adapted into a TV movie, which starred Tony Randall and Lorna Patterson as Laurie and Kalina Kiff, and later, thanks to future installment Sorass as the daughter Patty.
And Soros isn't a TV show.
No.
No, just so you don't go looking for Soros and saying, I've never heard that TV show. No, it's another one of those not series-based episodes that we do every now and then, like the Maury Titles show last week.
For more information about Soros, go back to episode 0.
But also, another thing we should add about Lorna Patterson, this is definitely not an entry, but it might be worthy of an entry. She played the title role on Private Benjamin, the TV series.
She did.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she was in the Goldie Hawn role on the Private Benjamin series.
Yeah, because Eileen Brennan played her superior, her really pain-in-the-ass superior.
And she was in Airplane.
As the singing stewardess. And
yes.
Fun fact, she now makes her living as a Jewish cantor.
Oh, that's pretty nice.
That's awesome.
What I was thinking you were going with it was, who was I think who's next to her in that scene where is that the scene where like she's singing to like the one sick patient?
I believe so, yes.
Because who else is in that scene?
Who else is in that scene?
Joyce Bulifant.
Ooh.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yep.
So not much could be said about the TV movie, except that it spun off this show. Unfortunately, Lorna Patterson was, I'm guessing, busy doing Airplane 2, the sequel. I don't know.
Or Private Benjamin.
Yeah,
that's right.
Because Private Benjamin would have just premiered would have been on the CBS Fall schedule in 81. So yeah.
So they needed somebody to play the Laurie role for the TV show, and that was Swoosie Kurtz. She of long-running Sisters and future installment Pushing Daisies.
Well, I remember Pushing Daisies.
I know. Really should have lasted longer than it did, but oh well.
Yeah, that was one of those series from the mid to late 2000s that probably should have gotten a longer run.
Thanks, writer's strike.
Yeah, it was mid 2000s, and well, sadly, now it's Pushing Daisies.
Anywho, Tony Randall and Kalina Kiff reprised their roles as Sidney Shore and little Patty Morgan, who is just the most precocious thing. You wouldn't know it, but in a few years, she would star as the granddaughter of Barbara Billingsley in the new Leave It to Beaver, which she was a little less precocious. I don't know.
Oh, is the new Leave It to Beaver on the list?
Yes, it is. I was just going to add that. It's already on the list.
Okay, because there's something about the new Leave It to Beaver that I'm going to mention after the show.
Well, there you go. And interesting, this was, at times this was before its time, but at other times it was very much restrained. For one, Sidney Shore was one of the first openly gay people on television, but that was mentioned on the TV, on the movie, but not, I repeat, not in the TV show.
Was it maybe a little too controversial for its time?
Probably.
In terms of making a series whose title character is gay. I mean, you've had supporting characters at that time that were openly gay, specifically thinking of Billy Crystal's character, Jody, on Soap, but he was a supporting character. He was not a lead character by any stretch of the imagination, at least in the beginning.
Yeah, and Tony Randall, he's a big name, He is just one of the heavies of the 60s and 70s, and now he's playing this character who is gay and in his 50s. But let's talk about the other two characters on this sort of love, triangle. and that would be Laurie Morgan, who is not an aspiring actress as she was in the film, but an established actress who moved to New York to get a fresh start. Because she was playing the role of Vixen Gloria Tranell in the soap opera Show Within a Show, as Thus We Are. And if you can translate that title, you're better than I am. But yeah, her daughter is Patty, who is just a precocious figure who sees Sidney as a father figure she never had, and Sidney sees Patty as the child he never had. Another thing you have to understand about Sidney is that he is an illustrator. His business deals were made with young ad agency director Jason Stoller, played by Chip Zine, who works at Graham and Ludwig, Sidney's biggest account. Another recurring character of the first season was his friend and neighbor, Judge Mort Harris, played by Alan North. He has another neighbor in the second season named Mrs. Gaffney, played by Barbara Brine, wife of the building superintendent, who seeks to gain Sidney's affections. Anything?
Well, one thing I found interesting is you mentioned Judge Mort Harris was played by Alan North. Now, since this was 81, 82, what else would Alan North have been in which would have been on another network in 1982?
In 1982?
Yes.
Police Squad in color.
Yes, he played what turned out to be the George Kennedy role opposite Leslie Nielsen in the Police Squad series.
Oh, that's great. We'd also be remiss if we didn't mention one final cast member who was added in the last season. She played Jason's secretary at the ad agency Graham and Ludwig. Her name is Nancy, and she was played by the one and only Lynn Thigpen.
Yes, the chief of Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego.
Among other things, absolutely.
This was the result of a TV movie that did well for NBC, and frankly, if you were doing well for NBC in 1980, you were doing just enough.
Yeah, because Lord knows nothing else on NBC in 1980 was doing gangbusters.
Yeah, and that brings up something very interesting, which I think Chico was going to lead into, is the movie itself was very successful, and the network was sort of using it as a pilot, and they wanted to develop the weekly series from that movie since it was very successful in the ratings. But the problem is NBC had an issue with postponing its premiere, and by the end of the 80-81 season, it hadn't aired yet. So that's a good year probably after the movie was first shown. So, it sort of gets out of people's minds if you don't, step up immediately. Because we've seen shows where there's a mini series or there's a TV movie, it does gangbusters, and you see that movie immediately turn into a series. I'm thinking specifically like V. If you remember V back in, it's actually a couple years after this, because V was, I believe, 83 or 84.
Yeah.
They had that mini series or the movie or whatever it was, and it did a great job. And what did they do? They turned it into a series almost immediately. I mean, well, maybe not immediately, but with a few months turnaround.
Well, I recall, didn't they do a second mini series and then
they did a second? Yeah, they did a series. They did a second series, and then they ended up doing a series, an actual TV series. But and then they did the gritty reboot in the mid 2000s.
Oh, you mean the future entry that's about the reboot?
Yeah, the one good thing about that was Marina Baccarin. Let's just get it out of the way.
Of course.
And who was in charge in NBC 80 to 81? Fred Silverman, I do believe. And if it wasn't Fred Silverman, it was Grant Tinker. But then you look at, again, V, who was in charge of NBC at that time? Some young stalwart named Brandon Tartikoff. And gosh knows everything, or almost everything he touched at NBC during his tenure turned into gold.
Pretty much. But we first had to get through the whole Grant Tinker era.
Well, it didn't last that long.
No, It might have lasted as long as this show. So, who knows? Maybe we're talking the Mirror of Dorian Gray sort of thing. But there was a lot of give and take to get this show spun off from the movie. For one, Tony Randall. He was very apprehensive about returning to TV after the Tony Randall show. So he said he'd do it on two conditions. One, he'd have to make enough to finance the National Actors Theater at Pace University, which it did, eventually. And two, it had to film in New York City.
And this is in an era when most productions, if not all productions, moved to Los Angeles.
Yeah, because we talked about how in the Bill Cullen episode we did about how Pass the Buck was mainly one of the last game shows to regularly tape in New York City.
Well, I mean, I think the only thing that would have been recording in New York City at the time, besides this, would have probably been soap operas and Letterman, if you think about it.
And SNL.
And SNL, valid point, but still, most of the TV productions, a good 90%, if not more, had moved to the West Coast by then.
Just about, yeah. And of course, this was like a few years before Cosby, which would also shoot in New York City.
Yep, at Kaufman Astoria in Queens. The future home of WFAN. By the way, Kaufman Astoria Studios also hosted Future Installment Video Power.
Oh, no.
Really?
Yes.
I did not know that. Reeves Teletape didn't host the entire series. It hosted a majority of the series, but not the entire series. There were 7 episodes that had to be farmed out to Warner Brothers in Burbank. And then there was another block of episodes that had to be farmed out to CBS Broadcast Center, home of past installments to the Dana Carvey Show.
And we should add the first episode was done at Studio 6A at 30 Rock.
Mike, do you have an episode guide for this show?
I do, yes. And we're not going to go too deep into all the episodes, but there are a number of episodes that I really believe were groundbreaking for back in the day. They'd be more commonplace nowadays, but back in 1981 and 82, I could see them sort of pushing the envelope a little bit. One episode I see in season 1, which aired March 3rd of 1982, my 7th birthday, episode 16, Laurie signs on for a misogynist TV commercial. And remember, this is a little bit after the ERA era.
Right.
So I could see that, ruffling some feathers possibly. Given this is the early 80s, this one I could see causing a little bit of a stir. Episode 21 from season 1, The Activist, Laurie's bringing Patty to an anti-nuclear protest rally doesn't sit well with Sidney. Just an anti-nuclear protest rally. Now, you got to remember, September of 82 would have been about 3 years after 3 Mile Island, and it would have been about 4 years before Chernobyl. But also, I could understand, bringing a little kid, 7 years old, 6 years old, to a protest rally might not sit well with some people.
No, it wouldn't.
No, well, especially, if the kid doesn't know what they're there for. Yeah, that's, depending on the cause, it could be considered brainwashing if you think about it.
Yeah.
Not necessarily an anti-nuclear, strike or anything like that, but we've seen other protests in the last couple of years that I wouldn't want a kid being anywhere near.
Well, also I wanted to mention, you mentioned about the anti-nuclear war movement. I mean, this was also, you mentioned this was 82, right?
Right.
What aired the following year that was related to the movement?
The day after?
Yup.
Yeah, and also around that time, 83, 84-ish, that's sort of when the Cold War, the nuclear aspect almost came to a head with Russia, dealing with Andropov, Chernenko, and then finally Gorbachev came in and tensions cooled down significantly. Looking at season 2, episode 12, One is Enough. This one, this is sort of groundbreaking if you think about it when I give you the context. Laurie's soap character undergoes a sex change, and when Laurie begins using Sidney as inspiration for her work, he demands editorial rights.
Oh, boy.
Well, the sex changes were a thing. I mean, if you remember back in the 70s, Dr. Renee Richards.
Yeah, but I was thinking about Sidney demands editorial rights. He's going to totally ham it up.
But still, the topic of the sex change, that's not something you'd normally see on TV, at least back then. So I could see that possibly causing a little controversy.
Well, this is a show basically born of controversy, because if you remember, when it was announced, the moral majority came out full force against it. Not so much that homosexuality was so much as homosexuality was allowed to, heaven forbid, homosexuality was allowed to exist in a positive form.
Oh, God forbid.
Right.
Let me clutch my pearls here.
And 2 other episodes I see that I think are worth mentioning. Again, season 2, episode 18, The Revolutionary. Laurie is engaged to a dissident Latin American filmmaker who illegally fled his homeland for the U.S. It just seems nowadays, obviously, it's a hot button topic. And we've talked about this type of situation in the past where somebody tries getting a green card or moving to another country because they love somebody. Specifically, not to
mention the advent of 90 Day Fiancé.
Right.
You mean future entry 90 Day Fiancé?
Yes, that one.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was more specifically thinking about Marty Sherman on The Critic when he went to Cuba because his love went back home because she was Fidel Castro's granddaughter. I know that's a cartoon, but still, I mean, it is a bit of a hot button issue because of the times we live in. It's just something I found very interesting. And then the last one, and I think, I think this is one of those topics that just isn't covered much on TV, or at least covered as much as maybe it should. It's the second to last episode of the series, The Shrink, episode 21 from season 2. Sidney rescues a suicidal gay man, then is trapped into being his friend. Well, trap may not necessarily be the best word to use, or maybe isn't a word you'd use in everyday life, but not just rescuing a suicidal man, but also rescuing a gay man. I mean, the combination, I think, is very powerful. Not just because of being suicidal or being gay. I mean, both those are equally important, but think of the internal struggles that a lot of people who are homosexual have, because that is makes up a pretty significant portion of people who commit suicide is people who fall under the LGBTQ spectrum.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's really moving for something that would have been 37 years ago at this point. That's really forward thinking, in my opinion.
It is forward thinking.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like they were doing a lot of very special episodes on this series. And interestingly enough, most of them did not involve Laurie or Patty, but Sidney himself.
Yeah, and they dealt with some serious issues. So maybe it just isn't getting a fair shake because, even though it was Tony Randall and it lasted 2 years, and it might have been very questionable in 1982, 83, 81, there were some, very special moving episodes that may even need to be seen today.
Mm-hmm. Although, I'll tell you right now, it did get a big following amongst the gay population in New York City.
Yeah, if you listen to Tony Randall's interview with the American Television Archive, he talks in the interview about how, Love, Sidney was basically a big hit in, like, the cities in, like, New York, Chicago, and Los Angeles, where there'd obviously be a heavy gay population, but it didn't really play well to other parts of the country.
Yeah, this wouldn't really sell too well in the South or flyover states, let's say. The Plain states, some Midwestern states. Yeah, I can't see this being a big hit in, say, Mississippi.
Well,
Yeah.
I can't see this being a big hit in Casper, Wyoming.
No, absolutely not. No, 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 no. Looking at the ratings, though, it really started out reasonably well. Looks like the second week it was on air, from my notes, it tied for 14th, which isn't bad. 14th out of 68 shows.
That's very good.
Yeah, it tied Benson. And I mean, Benson had a nice lifespan, a good 6 or 7 years. And it did better than many more popular shows from back in the day. Happy Days, Mork and Mindy, One Day at a Time, Real People, Taxi. Well, Taxi was sort of on the downfall by 81, so it's understandable. But yeah, I mean, it had good ratings to start. And then from what I've seen, the ratings sort of leveled off. It was pretty stagnant in the middle of the pack in the 30s or low 40s, right at about the middle range of TV shows. And then the second season, it sort of plummeted.
Yeah, well, having it moved to Saturday night did not help.
Well, Saturday is a death spot unless you're the Golden Girls. And the Golden Girls wouldn't come around for another 3 years.
Yeah.
Well, is that all you guys have?
That's, well, all I can say is...
No, don't say it, because it's time for another round of eBay Price is Right! All right, guys, what's up for bids now? This is a buy it now where you can make a best offer and, and get it for a little bit less. But I want the buy it now price for this item. It is a Love Sidney black satin cast and crew jacket, size large, men's large. And I will start with Greg because he won the previous episode.
I will go $55 and 55 cents.
55. Okay. Chico?
I'm going to go with $17.15.
Interesting. This Love Sidney crew jacket can be all yours. Oh, Greg, you're just a hair over. $49 even.
Oh!
Wow.
But also, 40, I should add $49, but I should also add the shipping, at least to my neck of the woods, because this is in Sherman Oaks, California, is $21.10.
Yikes.
Yeah.
That's gonna sting.
Yeah, that seems a little high for shipping a jacket, which probably doesn't weigh much more than a pound or two, but it is what it is. Yep, $49 will get you a Love Sidney crew jacket.
Okay, well, what can we say about Love Sidney? It was revolutionary for its time, but unfortunately it was not allowed to exist for its time, so until that time, it was just a thing on TV.
Yes, it was. And you know what else we love? We love our listeners, but we also love our website. Yes. It was thingontv.com, where you can find all our previous episodes, our links to social media, including Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, and Jack Dorsey's Hate Box. And you can email us there. You can find it all there. until next week. Next week's going to be a fun one. We have two episodes coming up.
Yes.
And one was an executive decision by me to swap out one show for another, which I think is a little more timelier and a lot more fun. I think we could definitely get 30 to 40 minutes out of this show. Won't say what it is, but that's the first episode next week. The second one, this is one I know, if not just Greg and Chico, and also me to an extent, we've been waiting for this episode.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a fun episode.
And especially one segment that we'll talk about from this show.
Yes, and that's actually what I'm thinking of, is that one segment from this show. It's really amazing. It really is. But again, that's going to be next week. That'll be the beginning of June. Oh my gosh, it's the beginning of June already.
Yeah, and I was worried about what was going to happen with this summer of my other stuff, and I'm like, well, it looks like I'm going to have to record every episode now this summer.
Yes, you will.
Well, yeah, unfortunately, none of us are doing anything this summer. Trips have been canceled, and
yeah, my summer baseball league got canceled. My other line of work probably isn't going to have anything this year, so...
Yeah, it's affected all of us. Some of us...
All I gotta say is thank God I'm an essential worker.
Me too.
Yeah, and thank you, too, for your work. I'm not essential in that regard, but yeah. Our summers have been affected generally negatively, and well, that also gives us a lot more free time to get stuff like this done. So until next week, speaking for Greg and speaking for Chico, I'm Mike, and we thank you very much for listening to this installment of It Was a Thing on TV.
Row!
We polled a studio audience not too long ago, and we said, write down your best answer to this. Blank, sure. $1,000 for the most popular answer. If you choose the second most popular, it's $500 for you. And then $250 for the third most popular answer. May we see the $250 response? Sidney Shore.
Sure.
It was sure. That was a part that Tony Randall show. But he didn't spell it that way, did it?
He didn't. On everyone's lips.
Yes, right.